Harry the Horse, written by Nancy Kiger, illustrated by Michael Grejniec. Once upon a time, there was a seahorse named Harry. He lived in a beautiful coral reef with his family. Most of the time, Harry was happy, but sometimes he was bored. He was tired of doing the same old thing day after day. Harry's father had told him stories about wonderful places far away. Harry dreamed of seeing those places someday. More than anything, he wanted to see a seashore. Harry and his brothers and sisters often played hide and seek in the coral. One day, Harry decided to find a new place to hide. He swam farther than he ever swam before. When Harry poked his head up out of the water, he could hardly believe his eyes. There was a seashore! It was just like his father said it would be. The water went right up to the sand. Beyond the sand were trees and bright flowers. The birds were singing sweetly. Suddenly, an animal came bounding along the sand. Harry didn't remember much of an animal from any of his father's stories. The animal was huge and shiny black. Its tail blew straight out behind it as it ran. Four long legs reached way out in front and way out in back with every bound. The animal jumped and kicked. It stood up on its two back legs and pawed in the air. It shook its head and made a loud, happy sound. Harry had never seen such a wonderful sight in his whole life. He stared for a long time. After a while, the sky began to get dark. No one had found Harry's hiding place. We wanted to stay and watch the animals some more, but he was getting very tired, bobbing up and down in the water. So he swam back home. When Harry told his mother and father about the wonderful animal he had seen, they were amazed. "What was it?" Harry asked. "I think what you saw was a horse," said his father. "I have heard about such animals from Old One." "It was one of the most wonderful things I ever saw," exclaimed Harry. "I wish I could run like that. It was like flying in the wind." "Oh, no, dear," said his mother. "You don't want to be like the horse. Why, the poor thing can only swim a little bit. It can't live in the water like we can. You'll understand when you're older." Every day after that, Harry swam to the same spot near the seashore to watch the black horse. He watched it leap and play and jump and run on the sand. After many days, Harry began to believe that he should be able to run just like the horse. He just needed someone to teach him. Finally, Harry decided to talk to Old One. Old One had lived longer than any other seahorse. He knew everything there was to know. If anyone could teach him how to become a real horse, Old One could. Off Harry went, swimming deeper and deeper into the coral. There, so deep that almost no light reached him, was Old One. "Please, Old One," said Harry, "can you teach me how to be a real horse, to be able to run on the sand and feel the wind in my face?" "Yes, I can," said Old One. "But first, you must be sure this is what you really want more than anything else, more than life itself." "Oh, it is," said Harry. "I've been thinking about it for days." "All right, I will tell you how to become a real horse. Remember, once you begin, you cannot turn back. Now listen closely to everything I tell you." Then Old One settled down in the coral and began to teach Harry. "First, do you see that rock over there?" Old One pointed his old head at a rock with a hollow place in it. Harry nodded. "Come to that rock at night when the moon is low over the sea. In the hollow place you will find some seaweed. It will not taste good, but you must eat 2 bites, no more." "I understand," Harry said. "What's next?" Just as the sun begins to turn red and sink below the earth, swim to the place where you saw the horse. Swim up to the sand and repeat the words that I'm going to tell you. Pronounce them as I say, then wait. What words? Tell me! Harry wanted to know everything right away. The words are sea, sand, sky, sand, sea. Say them together like one word. Say them 3 times. Try it now. Harry said the words 3 times softly. All right, I've got it. What's next? Then you wait for the change to happen. It may take a long time. Old One's voice was hoarse. He sounded as if he was going to cry. What's wrong? Asked Harry. Don't worry about me, sniffled Old One. It's just that everyone will miss you. Harry started to feel a little sad himself. I'll come back after I've been a real horse for a while, all right? No, Harry, once you become a real horse, you will always be a real horse. That's why you must think about your decision very carefully. Harry thought carefully. In his mind, he pictured himself running on the sand. Then he had an idea. Even real horses don't live forever. What happens then? Harry asked. You will turn into grains of sand. Only then can you return to the sea. When Harry learned that in the end he would return to the sea, he was happy. He swam back home and told everyone of his plans. He told them not to worry about him. Later that night, Harry set out to become a real horse. He did everything that Old One had told him to do. He found the hollow, ate 2 bites of seaweed, and swam up to the seashore. Then he repeated the words 3 times. Sea, sand, sky, sand, sea. Sea, sand, sky, sand, sea. Sea, sand, sky, sand, sea. Then he waited and waited and waited. Finally, Harry began to feel himself change. Little by little, he became a real horse. Carefully, he stood up and tried out his legs. They worked. He could now stand and walk and jump and run. From then on, Harry ran on the sand every day, feeling the wind in his face. He jumped and kicked and pawed the air. All around him were beautiful trees and flowers. Birds sang and fluttered in the air as he ran. It was just as wonderful as he had hoped it would be. He was very happy. Harry lived on the seashore for many years. Sometimes he gazed out over the water and thought about his family. He hoped that they knew how happy he was now. When Harry was very, very old, he turned into grains of sand, just as Old One had said it would happen. Then the tide carried the grains of sand back into the sea. The story about Harry has been passed down from family to family. Everyone loves to hear about the seahorse who wanted to run on the sand and feel the wind in his face. Every once in a while, another young seahorse tries to become a real horse. Not one has ever been able to do what Harry did.